Hey everybody, my name is Gary Felix, and I work as a PA in the emergency room down in Southern California. I recently just kind of shared a little bit of a story about my dad and the products, but I really want to just expand on that story because something profound is happening and it's continuing to happen. But I just want to give a little bit of context behind the scenario. My dad in 2020 got very sick. It wasn't with COVID, but it was actually right during the COVID pandemic. They actually never found exactly what was going on. Something had been laid on my heart prior to the incident that me and my dad have gotten separated by distance geographically, but not necessarily, we're not far apart. We've always been very, very close, but we just never saw each other that much. And we just started talking to each other less. I was busy in Southern California. He was in Northern California. About an 8 hour drive, for those of you who aren't familiar. Auburn, California to Long Beach is how far I was away from him. But something was laid on my heart just during prayer and meditation that I needed to reach out to him and see how he's doing. And so for about 5 days in a row, I called him, and he was, doing okay, doing his own thing, driving down to get the mail. And then one day, specifically a Friday morning, I called him, and he just seemed completely confused. Something was wrong. I couldn't tell exactly what was going on. I ended up having to call 911 to come out to the house and take him to the hospital. I was able to talk to the doctors. They couldn't find out anything was going on. They did CT scans, MRI, blood work. They admitted him to the hospital because he was maybe delirium, maybe onset of dementia, maybe alcohol withdrawal. We weren't sure what was going on. He had a fever and he had a cough, but he tested negative for COVID, and they finally diagnosed him with pneumonia, but they kept him in the hospital for a full 11 days. I got a call saying, hey, we're going to discharge your dad home. And I was like, okay, how's he doing? They're like, yeah, he's just not able to walk and he's a little bit confused. I was like, my dad lives alone in a 2-story apartment, and I'm 8 hours away from him by drive, or at least 6 hours by flying, renting a car and driving to him. And he doesn't live with anybody. So what do you mean you're going to discharge him home? And so we had to go through a whole bunch of process and different things. And we ended up discharging him to a skilled nursing facility where he stayed there for 6 months. During that time, every time I had more than 1 or 2 days off, I would drive up to Auburn and sit in front of a piece of glass that separated us because we couldn't see each other or be next to each other during COVID. And I would see my dad in the skilled nursing facility through a window. They would wheel him out to me, and he was completely disheveled, lost a bunch of weight, pale. And several times he actually was so weak that he was sliding out of his wheelchair. I had to be banging on the door to get somebody to come over so that he wouldn't fall out of his chair. I was like, I'm going to come in this facility. I don't care about COVID. I'm coming in this facility if my dad ends up on the ground. That's kind of where I was at. Fast forward, he got discharged, went down to my mom's house. She was gracious enough to take in her ex-husband to stay with her, kind of helped him rehab a little bit. Then we got him over to an assisted independent living. Since then, his physical health has come back. He's able to walk and move around, but he's never been back as far as, cognitive. He hasn't been able to remember anything. He asked me the same exact questions. For 2 years, I've heard these same questions. Where do you live? Who are you dating? That was a tough one because I went through a breakup, and every day he would ask me the same question. Who are you dating, son? And I would have to tell him the story every day. And it just got very, very tiresome. At one point in time, I called my mom, and I scared her. I called her, and I thought I had it together, but I called her and she was just like, what's going on? And I just erupted into tears, and I was just like, I lost my dad. He hasn't died, but I don't have the ability to talk to him. He doesn't remember anything. If I get married or have kids, they won't experience the dad that I knew. And it was a very emotional, stressful time. And it wasn't until recently, this happened probably a week and a half, maybe a week and a half ago, I started getting onto these products, and I got my dad the Premier, the Neuro, the Renew, and the Core. Within the first dose of him taking the Neuro, he started having better conversation. And within the next week, I cannot explain the difference that I've seen in my father. My father now knows where I live. He remembers where he used to fish with me. He remembers what side of the lake he used to fish on. He remembers the name of the town that he used to be in. He's talking about friends he used to contact saying, I need to call Roger. I need to call these people. He hasn't asked me what happened to him. He hasn't asked me where I live, who I'm dating, all these things. Our conversations are now linear. He's remembering the conversations. He's remembering now that he wants to take the medications. When I call him to take the medications, he's like, hey, is it time to take our medications? Are we going to take 3 or 4 today? He's getting things. And from a medical standpoint, as a provider, someone who's into research and understands things, there's a placebo effect that I wonder what's going on. There's a consistency because I'm calling him every day. Is there more to it? But I really believe that there is a combination of something magical, divine, and just special happening here because my dad is now someone that he hasn't been before for 2 years. I have not been able to experience my father the way I have since getting on these products. And I just want to tell people that story because it may not be for everybody, but there's so much good that's coming out of this. My relationship with my father is closer because I'm consistently calling him just to take the medication. So we're having a benefit of that. He's actually getting, in my opinion, huge steps forward in his cognitive ability. The official diagnosis they're working with is dementia, but I'm not even sure exactly what's going on. All I know is my dad is coming back in a powerful way, and it's been amazing. So guys, get out there and share this. You never know who needs this. I wasn't expecting this to happen. I wanted to help, but I was not expecting to have a 180 turn with my father and have him back a way that I haven't had him in 2 years. So I just wanted to share that with you guys.